All right, this is how you do the linear regression models worksheet. This right here, these problems that I'm looking at right now are not the same problems. But I'm going to show you how to do it using a different set of problems. Okay, so first off, we need to construct a scatter plot in Google Sheets and paste it into a Google slide. So here is my set of data. So I'm going to go and first off, go to a brand new tab, hit these 9 dots. I've seen several of you use other things throughout the years, but these 9 dots, they have all the Google apps right there. They got your Google Drive, your Docs, your Sheets, your Classroom. It's all right there. You don't have to type in Google Classroom every time or Google Docs every time. You just click these 9 dots and they pull right up. So I'm just going to open up a blank sheet. So I'm going to go right here and I'm going to just have a blank one. I'm going to show you how to do what I did on the Oscar Inquiry worksheet from scratch. Okay, so on this, they want you to construct a scatter plot in Google Sheets, and then we're just going to paste it into the Google slide. But we're going to find the regression equation and the correlation coefficient and put that on the slide also. Now, the spreadsheet will give you the regression equation, okay, but it will not give you the R. So what I'm going to do is move these to where I can still see the data and type them in at the same time. So this first column A, all I'm going to do is just type in all my X's. So I have 17, 22, 38, 50, 56, 59. And again, these are not the same numbers as what's on your paper. All right, so I typed in all the X's. Now I'm going to type in all the Y's. $30, $40, $40, $40, $50, $50, $60, and then $70, $70, $70. So I missed one somewhere. 17, 22, 38, 50, 56, 59, 85, 87, 87, 93, 20, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60. So that one should have been 60, then 70, 70, and 70. All right, so there's my data listed right there. All right, now, the next step, after you type in the data in these two columns, I'm going to highlight the data just like that. Then I go to Insert a Chart. Now, I'm going to make this bigger just so we can see it for right now that I've typed in the data. All right, so here's my chart, and here's my chart editor. Now, over here on the chart editor, for starters, I don't want a line chart this time. So I'm going to scroll down until I see a scatter chart. And what it does is it's plotted all my points for me. Okay, I'm going to scoot it over so I can still see my data. Now, there's some things that I need to add to this. Okay, one of the things I need to add, I'm going to go over here and hit Customize. All right, now, for starters, down through here, there are different things you can do. You can label the chart, you can put x-axis and y-axis. You can label them with this. All right, so what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to add the trend line, okay, which is the line that best represents this data. Now, I can use the drawing tool, but spreadsheets do it for me. So if I'm just scroll down, click Series, and it opens up this menu down through here until I hit this see this word trend line. Now, if I click trend line, it automatically puts the trend line in there for you. That is the line of best fit. Now, I'm going to scroll. Once you hit trend line, it opens up some more stuff. And I'm going to scroll down here to where it says label. All right, I'm going to change the label to where instead of none, I'm going to use equation. So right there, y equals 0.617 times x plus 13.3. That is the regression equation. Okay, now the only other thing I want to do is to make sure that my data, is not a misleading graph. You see how it goes 20, 40, 60, 80, 20, 40, 60, 80. That's all fine. I'm going to make sure, though, by going to where it says horizontal axis, that's this axis right here, and I'm going to look at my x's. My x's range anywhere from 17 to 93. So I'm going to start with 0, and I'm going to go to about 95. So if I click this horizontal axis right here and I scroll down a little bit, right here it says minimum and maximum. See, I can make my graph misleading if I wanted to, but I'm going to start with 0, and I want to go to 90. I'm going to go a little bit further than 93. I could go to 95. I could put 100. I'm going to put 95. And then I want to make sure I do not click this because I don't want to hide any of the data. I want it to show it all. All right, so now all my points should be on there just like that. And now I'm going to scroll down to the vertical axis. And on the vertical axis, that's this one here, it goes from 20 to 70. So I'm going to start with 0 again. I'm going to scroll down to where it says minimum value, and I'm going to put 0. And I'm going to go a little bit past 70. Since these are all going by tens, I'll just go to 80, like it's already done. 80. All right. Now, this is pretty much hasn't changed anything, okay? But on some of them, it will make it look a little better. It'll make sure all of the data is up there. First off, again, I don't want to allow the bounds to hide the data. I want it all there. And there it is. Now, that is how you get the graph. Now you just go over here and you copy the chart, and then paste it in there. Now, when you go to paste it, it's going to ask you if you want to link it. Now, you can use this spreadsheet over and over and over again, but if you do, you need to scroll down and type in some new data for number 2, and scroll down and type some new data for number 3. Okay, because if you link it together and then you change these numbers, it's very possible it could change the data on your number 1 and put all of them. It'll change it every time. But if you don't link it, if you hit unlink, you could sit and change these numbers every time, and this will automatically happen. All right, now that is how you do. And if you look on here, it also says something about an R under series, but it says R squared. I don't want R squared. So I could hit this and it would tell me R squared. I don't want R squared. Okay, I want R. So to find R, you've got to use this and pull up the calculator. Okay, so we're going to find the linear regression equation using the graph right here and the calculator. So in my calculator now, I'm going to do just like I did before and hit stat. And then I'm going to edit, just like I did the last time I used the calculator for the mean, median, and mode. Only now I have an L1 and an L2. So for my L1, I got 17, and then I just type in the data again. Now I'm going to pause it while I type in all the data so you don't have to sit and watch me type all the data in again. All right, now I have all the data typed in. So here's my L1, that's my X's, and my L2, that's all my Y's. All right, so now all I go is back to stat again, arrow over to calc. Now, I don't want one variable stats this time. I want the linear regression line. So if I click this right here, or arrow down to number 4, and then hit enter, and then hit enter for list 1, list 2, until it gets to calculate. And then if you look, it should give you this right here, 0.617 and 13.3, 0.617 and 13.3. Now, the problem is your calculator is not giving you the R yet, okay? You've got to turn your calculator's diagnostics on, which I did not do yet because I wanted to show you. So to turn them on, I'm going to hit the second button, and then down here at the 0 where it says catalog, and I'm going to hit that. And what that does is it turns on every single command that your calculator has. And I want to arrow down to where it says diagnostics on. So right here it says diagnostics on and diagnostics off. I want diagnostics on, hit enter, and then hit enter again. And now when it says it's done, then now the diagnostics are on. So if I go back and do the exact same thing I did a second ago, stat, arrow over to calc, arrow down to number 4, and then hit enter, and then hit enter until I get to calculate. Now it's giving me the R and the R squared. Again, I don't want the R squared, I want the R. The R is 0.9804 or 0.9805. Give the R to 4 decimal places. Okay, so when you do this, you're going to copy this into your slide. Then you're going to make a text box in your slide and type in R equals 0.9084 because you have to find R using the calculator, and you can make the spreadsheet in the equation using the spreadsheet. So this way you're having to use both, but now you know how to put both in the calculator and how to make a scatter chart with the regression line in your equation or in your graph. So what the R stands for is the closer this R is to the number 1, the closer that data, that trend line is to being right. Okay, so like say I had a bunch of points that were just like scattered all over the place. It's still going to give me a trend line, but my R, if my R is like 0.5 or something like that, then that just means that it's not very close together, that the data is all spread out. The closer this number is to the number 1, the closer this is to a straight, these dots are to a straight line. So if it's like 0.99, then it is like really close. If it's 1, then all the points are on the line. Okay, that's what the R stands for. So like I said, on your Google slide, copy and paste this and type in what R is. Just type in R equals 0.9084. Give R to 4 decimal places. Okay, if you have any questions, that's how you do these 5. Just email me if you have any questions.